Well, let's speak now to Piers Linney, who might be familiar with. He was a dragon on Dragon's Den, but he also has a background as a financial investor and advisor. Piers, how much of a strain do late payments have on small businesses?
Good morning, Alfie and Anna. It's a big issue. I mean, one of the big issues for small companies is clearly cash flow. So,
Mm.
British Business Bank, what we're trying to do is help companies find ways to finance working capital holes. So, if you're buying your stock on 30 days and your customers are paying you on 90 days, especially big companies, it creates a problem. And small
S-
companies often don't know where to go and find the finance, and that's what we're trying to change.
Okay, so what kind of advice would you give business to cover those late payments?
So the first thing is businesses often they go and talk to their accountant, they go and talk to the bank, they say no for sometimes for good
Mm.
reasons. And my main advice and what British Business Bank and our delivery partners are trying to do is to try and correct that problem, the gap, is create funding options. And the key thing is to go and look at the options. So we've set up a financialgrowth.co.uk. Go and look at the options and make sure that you don't just have one conversation, decide you can't raise a financial need to cover that working capital, that cash flow issue, and walk away. Because there's a huge amount out there, huge amount of capital, equity, debt. It's a question of
Yeah.
understanding your business, the needs, and where to go and get it.
You don't want to go to court. I mean, I've been owed money for gigs I've done and for a long time as well. I'd never even consider taking a company to court. Firms
No,
must be
no, I
reluctant to
agree.
do that.
I think it's also about legislation you mentioned earlier. Is about
Mm.
even if legislation, if your supplier, your customer is another small company and they've got cash flow pressures, it doesn't matter what the legislation says or what court documents you send to them, whether you sue them or not. If they can't pay you, they can't pay you. So you have to manage very carefully and check the financial status and standing of your suppliers and your customers too, to try and avoid the issue in the first place. And small companies, I've done it myself. It's hard to say no to a new customer or a favourable supplier, but sometimes you have to you have to say no because you probably or you may not get paid. And sometimes you know in your gut what the reality is.
Should the government think more about maybe bringing in legislation to encourage people to pay the bills on time?
But personally, I don't think so. Again, this is my personal
Mm.
opinion and not British Business Bank. Large companies, I think there's a case for that, and we have seen that, especially in government procurement. Smaller companies, like I said, it doesn't matter what tools you have. If they haven't got the cash to pay you, they aren't going to pay you. So you have to manage those relationships carefully. Make sure, if you have a very hard and fast rule on your payment terms, if they don't pay, stop supplying or stop the service. And again, if you do have a cash flow issue, this is what small companies live and die on,
Mm.
is look at the options to bridge it so your business doesn't isn't sort of stifled and you can't grow. And that's what Small Business Advice Week is about. It's about trying to provide advice to businesses about the money's out there. You just have to match the right money to your business and the issue you have.
Well, thanks for your advice.
It's a
That was
pleasure.
Piers Linney, formerly of Dragon's Den. Alfie and Anna at breakfast.
Thank you.